behind your quest for fantasy glory? Who gave you a shot of adrenaline? Who left you drowning with regret with a dud? Who delivered the migraine-inducing disaster that you'll never forget? We're diving into the surprises, the ultimate hangover moments from this all-important week. It is the finale. Now, let's make sense of it. Welcome to Monday's Hangxiety, your ultimate fantasy football therapy session. What a wild, wild championship week, from games covering 5 days to feeling like yesterday was week 18. I mean, Admir Abdullah, RB5 on the week, a quarterback named Tanner McKee throwing a touchdown. And
Dog.
Yes, Dynasty made a live appearance on the field in Tampa. As always, I am your host, Gator J, and joined by the best in the business, Josh Hudson, Ryan Weisse. Good morning, fellas. How we doing?
I don't know about best, but I'll take the compliment this morning.
We were talking before the show. I mean, I have no issue tooting my own horn, but other than Jaden Reed, the advice we gave on Saturday may have been some of the best in the business, because I'm watching these players go off and I'm like, we told people to start him. We told people to start him. We told people to start him. And like, we fucking crushed it on Saturday. Unfortunately, it didn't win everybody championships, but my goodness, we did a pretty damn good job on Saturday. So.
Yeah, you weren't here for it, Ryan, because, me and Josh jump on a little early to make sure everything's set up. But Josh was telling me about his grand championship or round 3 matchup or third place.
We'll get to
matchup.
that later. We got a whole segment for that.
There's a segment for that.
I know, but I just want you to know, Ryan, that you and I are simpatico when it comes to this.
I like it. Now I'm super intrigued.
Before we get too deep into it, Josh, I know you had a nice weekend. Beautiful, beautiful job at work this weekend, even though I wasn't there to watch. Before we go too much further, last chance for you on this show to talk about Trophy Smack.
Absolutely. Check out our sister site, Women of Fantasy Football, and their partnership with TrophySmack. Go to trophysmack.com/WOFF. That's WOFF. Get yourself a championship belt, like you see above Ryan. Championship ring, which maybe Gator has in front of him. There you go. There's wall art, wall smack. There's trophies.
I want to throw out real quick. I caught their ad this weekend, and they were showing the championship helmets. Fucking fire.
They got all kinds of goodies at Trophy Smack. And you know what? It's championship season in fantasy football land. You probably won your championship if you're listening to us. Crossing fingers. So get yourself a reward. So go to trophysmack.com/WOFF, WOFF. Any and all commissions we make from this partnership goes towards us helping women in sports. Women in Fantasy Football was just credentialed for the Super Bowl. We're sending 4 amazing ladies to go cover the game. We want to be able to provide more than just the passes. So anything you guys purchase through that link all goes towards helping them. And from now until January 31st, use promo code WOFF. That's WOFF at checkout. Add a ring to your cart when you purchase a trophy or a belt and get that ring for free.
Oh,
free bling, plain and simple. So you can get something for yourself. Maybe give a post-Christmas gift to a friend or something. Or you know what? Go double on your league mates and say, fuck y'all.
Yeah. Or if there was a year you won a championship prior that you didn't reward yourself, see if you can change the year.
Wait for it. trophysmack.com/WOFF, WOFF, or use promo code WOFF, WOFF at checkout for that free ring. All good till January 31st.
Yeah, that's I love that Trophy Smack let us allowed us to add that to the cart as well. So that's awesome. Ryan.
Yes.
Weekly refresher.
Let's dive into it. As Jay mentioned, games were so spread out. And I didn't give myself anything in the show sheet to bitch about this, but I do want to bitch about that because I did not like the way it made championship week feel, but that's neither here nor there. Let's get into it. Way back on Christmas, Merry Christmas, the Chiefs handle business against the Steelers 29-10. Ravens beat down the Houston Texans. Their offense, the Texans, did not score a single point in this game, 31-2. So we got a shutout and a safety only game in the last 10 days. Seahawks 6, Bears 3. I hope that was the game you were looking for on Boxing Day. Then we jumped to Saturday. Chargers 40, Patriots 7. We called that one perfectly. Bengals 30, Broncos 24. We called that one perfectly. And I told you guys Rams Cardinals was going to be a terrible game, 13-9. So shout out to the NFC West for keeping us super entertained this weekend. That brought us into the Sunday games. Eagles handled business against the Cowboys 41-7. Buccaneers offense could not be stopped. Shout out Baker Mayfield, 48-14 over the Panthers. Bills beat down the Jets 40-14. These were all beatdowns, really. Giants give up the number 1 pick to end the Colts playoff run, 45-33. Raiders 25, Saints 10, Jaguars 20, Titans 13. Dolphins handle business in a wet Cleveland 20-3. Vikings 27, Packers 25, Commanders 30. Falcons 24, and we got one game left to wrap up your championships. The 49ers against the Lions tonight in San Francisco.
Yeah, so much to say about some of those games. Bunch of BS, but whatever. Before we get too much into it, Brent jumping in right away.
This
is how you get to the front of the line right here. We will get to every single one of your comments that are in the chat. But if you want to get to the front of the line, make sure you drop a super chat and we will stop the show. Well, we'll stop when we stop. Brent says half point PPR. I'm down 15 points. I have Gibbs and Debo. How we feeling, fellas?
Feeling like you need to go to Trophy Smack. Use promo code WOFF. I think this is a first quarter cash, my friend. I think you get 15 points before we click into the second quarter. These are the 2 players to have down by 15. I love it.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Debo guy. I think with Horrendo coming back, Debo's probably not going to get the rushing that a lot of people probably want him to get. But he should be involved in the passing game. For me, this is all about Jahmyr Gibbs, mostly because I'm biased and I need like a 35-point game from Jahmyr Gibbs. But I will say the biggest thing that worries me with this Lions game, I think that we're only going to see these starters for like a half, because this game means quite literally nothing for Detroit. Because even if they lose, their game next week is for the number 1 seed and the NFC North title, right? So they need to make sure that their starters are going. Jahmyr Gibbs may only play a half, but we've said before, this is going to be a Gibbs game. They're going to run the football. Gibbs should very easily get 20 points in the first half, in my opinion.
Yep.
Yeah, this is easy for me. It's you're getting those 15 points. I mean, Gibbs by himself, I know it's over a full game, but over the last 6 games or so, he's only not hit 15 points by himself one time. Again, you're talking about possibly only a half, but he, like Josh said, you're looking for a touchdown, and if both of them get the touchdown, it's a crazy smash. So,
yep,
I think you're good to go. Josh, let's talk about pouring one out for these. I mean, you've got a laundry list of players that people probably were relying on for most of these championship games that said, fuck off, I'm not playing.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, let's start with some of the streamers. I'll start with the big name, CJ Stroud, because look, people were still starting him, and I don't understand why. 6.1 fantasy points. He's been an absolute dud for more than half this season. But you want to talk about streaming options. Caleb Williams, 6.6 fantasy points. Matthew Stafford, 9.2 fantasy points. Even Drake May, who briefly left this game but came back, 9.9.
I say May was a name that came up a lot.
May came up a lot in our start sit questions, and I know Joel was in on Drake May. You go to the running back position. News broke right before Saturday's game. Ramondre Stevenson was benched. 0.1 fantasy points.
Yeah. I will say,
no wonder he was benched.
I will say, I said we did great on Saturday. At the end of the show, we said it's a ceremonial benching. Mondre is going to be fine. Oops.
I mean, there were a couple of scenarios where we put Stevenson over, but it was the options were really that bad.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, he was ceremoniously benched earlier in the season.
Yeah, so we thought it was going to be nothing.
You know, he ended up popping off. But yeah, this was just an awful game. Isaiah Pacheco, 1.8 fantasy points. Javonte Williams, 2 fantasy points. Jerome Ford briefly left with an ankle injury, came back to only play 1 snap, 2.2 fantasy points. James Conner, highly questionable the entire week. Ended up getting greenlit. We told y'all to sit him. 2.8 fantasy points. Kendre Miller, we told everybody to sit him. Left with a concussion, 2.9 fantasy points. I'll take the L on this one. Take Bigsby. What the fuck? This was a good matchup. 3.3 fantasy points. Devon Etienne, the late Tua scratch because of the hip injury. The only running back in fantasy football that is so incredibly tied to his quarterback. 5.8 fantasy points.
I told so many people, there's no way Tyler Huntley didn't learn. Tyler Huntley did not learn.
No.
That was my thing on Sunday. I was telling people to play Chan because I honestly thought that with Tyler Huntley, it was going to be an honest check down game.
Yep.
And he was going to pop.
Huntley played his ass off.
Huntley played pretty well.
Yeah. But no with Chan. None.
Yep.
0.
You want to talk about a running back that had an absolutely fantastic regular season and then shit the bed in the fantasy playoffs. Joe Mixon, 5.9 fantasy points. Breece Hall, 6.3. Let's get to the wide receivers now.
Yeah,
Jaden Reed,
running backs.
Jaden Reed, the guy who apparently dominates the Vikings. 1 catch, 6 yards, 1.6 fantasy points. DeAndre Hopkins, 2.7. Cooper Kupp. Studies need to be done on this because this
someone
was
actually
a
said that in the
fall
chat.
off. Let me tell you, 3.9 fantasy points. Zay Flowers, 5.1. Khalil Shakir, 5.5. One of the top passing offenses in the NFL, the Seattle Seahawks. JSN, 6.2 fantasy points. DK Metcalf, 7.2. Keelan Allen, who's been on a heater, 7.5 fantasy points. George Pickens, first game back, 8 fantasy points. Nico Collins, the Texans offense, could not do shit.
Yeah, that was
8.9 fantasy points. And Devontae Adams, after a 198-yard half last week, 9.7 fantasy points.
And most of that came
Well, some streaming tight ends. There's at least 2 names here that we're extremely shocked by. Hunter Henry, goose egg. Brenton Strange, goose egg. And just for shits and giggles, Cole Kmet, goose egg. Noah Gray, 1.6 fantasy points. Jake Ferguson, I thought this would be a good option.
That was rough.
2.8 fantasy points. Dalton Schultz should have been a good option. 4.1 fantasy points. Will Disley coming back. 4.1 fantasy points. And probably the biggest disappointment at tight end this season, Dalton Kincaid. 4.4 fantasy points. There were some ugly championship games, let me tell you.
I know
tight ends. There's your Monday's Hangxiety. Show is over.
Yeah.
Goodbye, everybody.
I know, and he didn't make the show sheet, but I know tight ends take time. Kincaid feels untouchable in fantasy football. If he's not going to pop this year, when the fuck is he going to pop?
Yeah. So. This is rough.
It like you said though about what's his name? Oh shoot. Damn it. Running back from Houston. Mixon. But like you said about Mixon, I mean, some of these guys, a lot of these guys did this throughout the playoffs, the fantasy playoffs. I mean, you look, Jaden Reed, one of them, Cooper Kupp, a big one, along with Joe Mixon, just disappeared. Decent to very, very good carried your team throughout the fantasy regular season and then just disappeared. Absolutely disappeared. Let's get into some of the chat here. Everybody in the chat, if you got something to say, you got something to bitch about, you got something to cry about,
you got something to brag about, bring it.
Let us know.
Or tell us about your Monday miracles you need.
If you want to talk about you're bragging because you're up in your championship game with no chance of losing, drop that in the chat. If you need a Monday miracle like Ryan just said, maybe like I need, we can talk about that as well. But I do want to say good morning to Caesar. Good morning, George. I know
Caesar, not officially, but pretty well officially, the Club Fantasy Listener League chat, number 2 champion. So
Okay. All right. Well, here we go. Guess we got a charity going his way, right? Aren't they doing the money?
They threw the money to Fantasy Cares. I already made the donation.
Nice.
Yeah.
Props to those guys. Austin says, well, I had 7 players this week combined for 38 points in his championship game.
Yikes.
That is
that feeling.
Yeah. George says, who would have thought Kenny Pickett, Aiden O'Connell would have been serviceable starts for me? Hurts even more when I see that Drew Lock and Snoop Huntley doing even better. You know, it's funny because Josh and I were talking about Drew Lock just before the show, and I went to look and see where he was as far as the overall rankings for quarterbacks. And I was looking down at that 9, 10, 11, 12, and Josh is like, no, he's up top.
Yep. QB3, right? Yeah.
QB3 on the week. George says he still has he got killed by BTJ and Nabers. Yeah, well, you're not the only
wide
one.
Receivers 4 and 6 on the season as rookies.
Going to be really interesting to see where Bucky, BTJ, Nabers, and Daniels goes in next year's draft. These rookies had insane seasons.
We'll let you know next week.
I was going to say, speaking of, thanks for the lead in right there, Ryan Weisse. We'll be doing a mock next week. Well, way too early mock next week, so we shall see how it looks right away. My main league team that was the 2 seed dropped a combined 82.
Wow.
I know somebody on this show right now that has that same problem. Austin says, so all I need is Gibbs and Jennings to get 40 each.
Well, I felt a lot better about that until Josh reminded me that this game means nothing for the Lions.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Well, maybe Jennings can get you 70 and Gibbs gets you 10.
There you go.
Let's look at the bright side.
No. We need Gibbs to get 15 in the first
15.
half, so we only need 65 from Jennings.
Okay.
So.
Well, this is the cup half full, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
James Conner Cooper Cup crushed me.
Yeah.
Can't be mad about Conner being hurt, but dear God, the fall off of Cup. Studies need to be.
I'm gonna reach out to one of our writers, Chris Molina, who's a big Rams fan, and has been defending Cooper Cup for ages now.
Is it time to move on?
I'm getting ready to be like, all right, Chris, I need you to write a Cooper Cup eulogy because homeboy is dead. Like, I need this like in writing from you because you cannot go into next season feeling any level of confidence in Cooper Cup right now.
I'm nervous for Puka Nacua because we already saw Aaron Donald retire. McVay has been floating the retirement rumor every offseason for the last like 3 or 4 years. If McVay, Cup, and Stafford all go, Puka Nacua is in fucking purgatory. So
I don't know that McVay would. I mean, McVay's young enough.
But I mean,
I think that there's enough young kids on this team that they've gotten them rejuvenated. Like, they just need to start hitting on draft picks, which has been hard for them because they haven't had draft picks.
Yeah.
But these last couple drafts, they've been making some strides. They got some key defensive pieces this past year. Now you need to come in and you got to figure out the quarterback position, which obviously is not easy.
I bet they wish they had Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, right. You know, I mean, we've seen Jimmy Garoppolo be serviceable at least. You know, he's made it to a couple NFC championship games. I'll say serviceable. Okay.
Yeah, and he was
going
on
to throw some hospital balls and get Puka Nacua put in ER, but you know, let's maybe see what Stetson Bennett can do. You know, they'll take a shot on maybe. Shit, look at Carson Beck coming out. UCL injury. If you can get one more year out of Matthew Stafford, Beck sits on the bench behind him. You give Carson Beck some weapons. He looks like a competent quarterback.
No, he doesn't.
The most Georgia passing or quarterback room in the history of football.
Yeah, right. No. Yeah, Beck's not that guy. Jennifer.
I'm not saying he's that guy, but I know there are enough respected people that scout quarterbacks that say Beck is a good quarterback and has the intangibles to be good.
Wow. He just said you're not respected, Gator. Just think about that for a second.
I heard that. Oh, I heard every bit of that. Every bit of that. Jennifer Sun says, thank you, guys. You have helped me tremendously, like playing Knicks over Love.
Yeah.
Congratulations. George, also shout out Jelly McMillan and Baker Mayfield, by the way. Yes, I swear I need Bucks players on my team next year. They always play Carolina in week 17. Caesar says, started Colts D, benched Nabers. I can still win if I get 29 points from Gibbs. Amon-Ra, and Jake Bates. And that's another one, though. Amon-Ra is another one that has been.
That feels like that's a first half cash. So I'm not too worried about that. So
yeah, I'm good with that as well. God's honest truth has been very unlucky while my opponent lives large with a 79-point lead. Hope to cut that down tonight with Kittle and Bates.
So you're
is this
just
like
hoping,
a 2-week championship? I'm trying to figure this out.
I think he's honestly just trying to not walk out with so much egg on his face. He's hoping he can lose by 40 instead of 80.
Yeah, he says. He says need some help. He's down 79 in a third.
Oh, it's the third place game. Gotcha.
And 65 in his championship game.
Let us know what you need in that championship game. We'll see if we can get you some good juju.
Caesar says, can I get 50.2 PPR from Garendo, Kittle, and Brian Branch? So we got a little IDP in this one.
My cousin to win our home league needs, I think, 30 from ARSB and Branch combined. So I'll be rooting for a Branch game tonight. So.
See, I need like 35 from Gibbs and a goose egg from Amon-Ra. That's what I need. So.
Jason needs 14.5 from Amon-Ra.
Jason, I love you. I am not rooting for you here.
Well, what's crazy is I was trying to figure out the parlays I was going to put together tonight. And now I'm like, do I just go build a parlay of Detroit backups if they have stat lines?
And as Ryan said, if you want to brag about it, you can. Caesar's already in here bragging. Club Fantasy Listener League champion, and he knows it already.
I was very, and not that I was rooting for anybody in that league, especially being in last place pretty much the entire season, but I was hoping that one of our listeners, because we had a few like no offense to anybody, but a few people who pop in here or there, to see Caesar win this when Caesar rolls with us on every fucking show. It felt fitting. I'm not going to lie. And the person he's playing is a good friend of mine. I was still kind of rooting for Caesar just because that's who you want to win is a listener in the listener league.
That's right. That's right. All right, let's move on to some good news or some bad news, depending on which one of us are talking. And we'll start with Josh. Let's talk about our championship stories for just a minute, Josh. Let you lead off.
Yeah, there's a chance that I might lose actually both of these championship games that I'm in. I entered in like 5 semis, I think, and I ended up losing 3 of them because of injuries, losing Jalen Hurts and running into Jonathan Taylor and all this stupid crap. One of my third place teams outscored both the people in the championship game. So that was great. Yeah. Love that one. 2 of my dynasty ones where I have literally the best team in the freaking league, and I'm going to lose both of the third place games, which is just insult to injury. The 2 championships, one is the one where I need Jahmyr Gibbs basically to go 35-0 over Amon-Ra to even have a shot at winning. The other one, Bijan had 90 and 2 touchdowns, so that closed the gap. I need Sam Laporta to score less than 19 fantasy points, which now that I think about it, I think is very possible because
I was going to say, sounds a lot more doable.
This game means nothing for the Lions. So I feel a little bit better because this is a team where my running back room got absolutely decimated. Like I was relying on Josh Jacobs, Aaron Jones I got right before the playoffs, and then Travis Etienne and Ramondre Stevenson were my other 2 running backs.
Yikes.
I got struck gold with Chuba Hubbard, who then goes on IR right before this week. And I'm just like, fuck. But this is a team where I have Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. And I know I'm eventually going to have to blow that up to restock my running back room. I need 1 championship with those 2. And thankfully, Ladd McConkey came through for me with 29 fantasy points. And I got Sam Darnold outscoring just about everybody. So, but shout out Drew, one of our contributors, because I'm playing Drew in this championship. And he had Lamar Jackson. He had a couple other really good starters in there. And he made this really competitive. So, and he's already won this league. I have not. So, share the love, Drew.
I've been debating all week with the weirdness of the NFL now in week 17. Is it better just to deal with the week 14 bye in the playoffs and have a week 16 championship? Because like, I am not loving week 17 championship right now.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, it's really bad. That's a rough one. I'll give you mine. I started, I think I had 6 into the semis, ended up with 3 making it to the championship game. Two of them, I don't even have a prayer. No prayer. One of the ones I have no prayer in. The guy is the other manager is the 6th seed, and every single one of his players decided to show up and not be Cooper Kupp and not be, Joe Mixon. They decided to just ball out on everything. Of course, he also has Joe Burrow and Tee Higgins to go with in a super flex. He has Joe Burrow, Tee Higgins, Herbert, and Lad McConkey. What else do you need? I'm done. I am done.
That's a week 17 double stack.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's the other thing. I was going to bring this up as well. The looking at week 17 when it comes to best ball this year is absolute garbage because we all thought it was going to be Detroit, San Francisco being a great game. We were looking.
I was thinking about that.
The LA Arizona matchup was supposed to be a good game. It just, and
we weren't banking on Denver being a great offense.
No. So yeah, because that would have been the game to go with Denver in Cincinnati. But
I know somebody who's probably going to make $500,000 on a best ball championship off of that Denver Cincinnati game.
Does his name start with the Fantasy 5 or the one?
Oh goodness, you guys would know goddamn well if it was me.
Yeah, you know how we would know, Josh? We couldn't find Ryan.
Oh no, that's not me. I would be here. I would have went and took as much money out of the bank as they'd let me, and I would just be showering myself throughout the show.
Make it rain on yourself.
I'd get one of those make it rain guns. Yep. I would be obnoxious.
Yes.
Someday, my friend.
The one that I still have a chance to win, I am in with Garrett Price. Of course, now Garrett is not the person that I am playing, but check this out. I have Josh Allen, Bucky Irving, Jordan Addison, Drake London, Chase Brown, TJ Hawkinson, and Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels saved my ass.
Yeah.
Because going into that game last night, I was down like 70 points. 65, 70 points. Jaden Daniels throwing up a 40 burger for me. Made it really, really nice. I'm still down by 22. But again, I'm facing a guy that has Herbert and Ladd and Burrow. And this guy is the 5 seed who just took out the 1 seed last week. And he's really fucking close to taking out the 2 seed and claiming this championship. And I do not like that at all. All right, Ryan, your story.
So I was in quite a few semis, I think 8, but I only ended up making it to 2 championships. Things did not shake out real well. And I have no sweat whatsoever tonight. In the OG Club Fantasy Dynasty League I was invited to a few years ago. As long as George Kittle doesn't score 50 tonight, I'm A-okay. Jaden Daniels held me down in that one.
That'll be your second title, right?
That'll be my second title in that league. But yeah, Kelsey, Jaden Daniels, Bucky Irving, Mike Evans, of course. I'm happy to have Mike Evans get me there. And then in the Football Guys Writers League, pour one out for our good friend Julia Papworth, who I beat the absolute shit out of. This league, 200 is usually the high score for the week, and most score 150. Well, Julia decided to have one of her worst weeks ever, and she's going to score about 130 this week, and I'm going to score about 280, probably doubling her up. It's a super flex league where I had Nix, Burrow, Tee Higgins. By the way, I take my own advice. J.K. Dobbins, the Chargers defense. I went all in on my advice. Oh, and by the way, I also have Trey McBride and Brock Bowers starting for me at tight end every week. What a week to have those guys. It did not go well for Julia. I'm not sad about it. So I will be a Club Fantasy champion and a Football Guys champion, despite having some trouble in other Club Fantasy and Football Guys leagues. So
the one thing I did not add, and I accidentally left it out, was I need 22.9 between JMO and George Kittle to win the league, the Nerd Herd League. So
all right,
so that's my Monday miracle.
I felt good about it until Josh pointed out that Detroit has nothing to play for.
Ryan, quit putting bad juju out here on these airwaves. I'm going to cancel you.
Josh did it. I'm so nervous.
I removed him from the show, Ryan. I know you can put yourself right back in, but we can.
You can do it. It's fine.
It's fine.
I'll walk away.
You have $500,000, $500,000. I'll walk away. Ay. Oh, my Lord. So let's talk about some rookies real quick. We talked about Jaden Daniels a little bit, 24 of 36, 227, 3 touchdowns. He did throw 1 pick, but those rushing yards, 127 yards on the ground, and securing that win last night. Malik Nabers, 7 of 8, 171 and 2. I guess it's okay for, somebody that was injured all week.
Yeah, more on him later.
Yeah. Lad McConkey, 8 of 10, 94 and 2. Bo Nix, 24 of 31, 219, 3 touchdowns, 7 carries for 31, and he did throw an interception as well. Xavier Worthy, somebody that is just starting to get the opportunity and starting to get the targets. He did have 2 carries for 10 yards, 8 of 9 receiving, 79 yards, and a touchdown. Marvin Harrison Jr., welcome to the birthday shots. 6 of 10 for 96 yards. It wasn't a lot.
Apparently, he owns the Rams.
I was just going to say, it's just the Rams.
That's the only team he can do good against.
That's just the Rams. Brock Bowers, 7 catches, 7 targets, 77 yards. So it was a day of just 7s for Brock Bowers.
Best rookie tight end season ever.
Best rookie receiving season ever.
Yep. Well, receptions, yes, not yards.
Hey,
he did break the record for rookie receptions. So awesome, him. Brian Thomas Jr., welcome back to the show. Yet again, I guess he's now a staple. 1 carry, 18 yards, 7 of 10 in the year, 91 yards, and another touchdown. Just adding to a phenomenal rookie season for him. Bucky Irving, 20 carries, 113 yards, 4 of 4 in the receiving game, 77 yards. Nice job by him. Jalen McMillan, 1 carry, 9 yards, 5 for 5, 51 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Was that 6 receiving touchdowns in the last four games?
Yeah, it's that's the only thing he knows how to do, and that matters for
me
for fantasy. So he's got 7 on the year.
The standard league god. That's what that is.
That's what he is. Yes, absolutely. Last but not least, Michael Penix Jr., 19 of 35. Not a great day throwing, 223, 1 touchdown to some guy that used to be good. Playing tight end. He did throw another interception, 2 carries for 3 yards. Nothing crazy, other than that 1 catch by that guy.
But that final drive, though.
Well,
ice in his veins, baby.
Yeah. Well, you could talk about ice in his veins because there ain't no fucking ice in no goddamn coaching staff's veins because they suck. By the way,
Raheem Morris did everything to help them lose that game.
Yep. Yeah, and I saw Millie in the chat. I'll get to you in a minute, Millie Mills. Don't you worry, because if y'all can't figure out how to use fucking timeouts, go to the halftime with 3. You carry 2 to the fucking overtime. Oh, wait, by the way, you can't use them in overtime.
Yeah, they don't. They don't stack.
They don't. Yeah, they're not rollover. They're not rollover timeouts.
I saw somebody joke about rollover minutes on Twitter, and I was dying laughing.
Love it.
That's where I got that from, because I can't remember who it was. I'd give them all the credit in the world because that was the funniest line ever. Rollover timeouts. It might have been our good friend Andrew Cooper that said it, so it was quite humorous. George in the chat says, also, I've officially removed Tee Higgins off my fade list. He can miss his usual 5 games per year if he continues to play like he had down the stretch. Unreal championship performance.
Absolutely.
Yeah, as long as we don't have to play the I'm gonna play 1 snap game with Tee Higgins, as long as I know he's out, I'm good with Tee Higgins, man.
Which, you know what? He hasn't done that this year.
Exactly.
Did it 3 times last year, but hasn't done that this year.
Yep.
So
I'm ready to
There's
accept Tee Higgins into my heart. Exactly.
George says, lastly, shout out Trey McBride for his first TD. But holy smokes, shout out Zach Ertz with a vintage performance. Ironically, needs 2 touchdowns for a bonus. Did you? So I kind of brought this up yesterday in the club fantasy chat on Sleeper. Everybody was asking, do they sit like James Cook, or do you sit the Josh Allen's, because the thought maybe they sit him in the second half. And these guys, at least for week 17, if they're playing for a bonus check.
Yep.
Right. And props to Jaden Daniels for realizing where that bonus was, $750,000 for Zach Ertz to catch that last.
That's a veteran move. That's the reason people loved Tom Brady. If Jaden Daniels is coming into the league with that mindset, he is going to be a beloved teammate on top of everything else. So,
right. Yeah. Here's Millie Mills. All I'm saying is we got our quarterback, and next year's division runs through them. Again, hopefully you don't need a timeout because y'all don't use them. Bo says he needs 10 from Debo for gold.
That I think is very doable.
I'm not going to respond because Gator yells at me when I say what I want to say.
No, go ahead. Say it.
I felt real good about this until Josh told me that he has anything to play with. No,
Honestly, Debo's playing for another contract because San Francisco is likely going to cut him after this season.
That's very true.
Yep. God's Honest Tree says took some chances with some guys. Lamar and Brown are in both teams, but other than that, all have been changed up. Collins, Pickens, Hurts, me, and the Colts D sucks behind again against the Giants.
I cannot believe that Colts defense yesterday. They were on my streaming list. They were a top 5 defense for me. Thankfully,
top 5 defense for just about everybody.
I was going to say, thankfully, my number 1 defense, the Chargers, was available everywhere, so I didn't have to gamble on the Colts. But my God, what a letdown.
Yeah.
I mean, even the Browns, I know the Browns were another one that, I was hyping them up after Tua got scratched, and I was like, dude, Myles Garrett's going to eat Snoop Huntley alive. Well, the Browns just said, we're good.
Nothing to play for.
That sounds like that organization.
My opponent has Burrow and Chase, and they're playing for something. I've got Lamar and both play this Saturday.
Oh, week 18 game.
So they do have a week 18. Okay. This is the same one from earlier where he was
down
65.
Okay.
So God's Honest Truth is down 65, and this is what he's looking at.
That should be interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Burrow has the Bengals have everything
Chase
to play for.
Have their entire life in front of them right now. And the Ravens play for nothing, correct?
Yeah, they're playing the Steelers, I believe. I think
are
they still playing for the division?
For the division?
Yeah, I think there's
the Ravens play the Browns, Bengals play the Steelers.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all division.
So if the Ravens win, they win that division.
Okay. So they are playing
because
for
the so basically the division,
I think,
if the Ravens win, it's decided in that opening game.
3 seed.
But the second game,
the Bengals still have
still have a playoff spot, if I'm not mistaken. But the Bengals obviously need to win for any shot in hell to get into the playoffs because they still need help.
Yeah, the Steelers and Ravens are locked into the playoffs. They're just still battling for the
Bengals are. Excuse me, the Ravens having something to play for against this Cleveland team. I feel don't feel too disheartened by your opponent having the Bengals.
Yeah, Millie Mills.
Ravens are favored by 18 in that game.
Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean that could be over in the first quarter.
That's got to be the biggest spread this season. Oh my God.
Wow.
Well, it wouldn't be that high if they just played.
And the over-under is only 41.5.
Well, it might be. It might have to be Jameis. I don't know.
Millie Mills says Cooper Kupp really let me down this year in the playoffs. I held his ass early just for a playoff run, and this motherfucker doesn't show up.
Yeah,
won't be drafting him next year.
Yeah, he's an easy one to scratch off the draft list because of his age. There are people where we wanted to scratch Tee Higgins off. That doesn't always make the most sense. There's an ADP where Tee Higgins makes sense. I don't know that there's an ADP where I'm jumping at Cooper Kupp next year because even as you start to knock rounds off of his ADP, you're not going to get him Kupp as your 5th wide receiver, but I'd rather have Jalen McMillan. There's other players that I'm going to be able to land as a wide receiver 5 that I'd rather have than Kupp. And here's the thing. You're not getting Kupp as a 5. Everyone's going to see him as a 4 and be like, oh, I got to get him, or even a 3. I'm avoiding him.
Well, I think that's where his value is going to be is at a 5. So I don't.
People are still going to draft him based on the.
That's what I'm saying. You're not going to get it
and all those types of things.
I think Kupp makes sense to me. This is going to sound awful right now. Kupp makes sense to me as a wide receiver 6, and there's most teams I don't draft wide receiver 6s, and he's not falling that far. So that makes him probably undraftable for me.
We'll go back to it. He makes sense in a best ball world. Not in a set your line.
Yeah, Kupp might, but again, that's where ADP is going to come in.
Mm-hmm.
I might be willing to fuck around with Cooper Kupp on Underdog, but not at his cost. Now, here's where it's interesting. If you do Underdog drafts in February where people are still mad jaded, Kupp might fall in those February drafts if you really want to gamble. So
that'd be a great spot to grab him there.
Yeah.
But as the season gets closer, it's going to build right back up, and people are going to forget.
Exactly.
Jim Lord Israel says, "I won, fellas. It's over.
Let's go."
For the advice over the season, greatly appreciate it, and congratulations to you, sir.
Yeah.
Now go get that championship swag.
Yeah.
TrophySmack.com/WOFF. Get yourself a belt or a trophy. Get a free ring, baby.
Boom.
Use promo code WOFF, WOFF.
God's Honest Truth comes back and says, see, some of these guys aren't going to play the last week because some have clinched. So I'd love to see my opponent use his backups.
Yeah. I will be doing week 18 rankings. I'll be following along with who I think is going to play, who's not going to play. Those will go live on the site tomorrow. I update them literally every day. So check back. We're still doing shows this week, so you will still have our Wednesday show to ask questions. But we will have rankings on clubfantasyffl.com for week 18. So.
Quincy says, what's up, everyone? In my championship, I have a 99% chance to win.
Love that.
Up by 25, he has Goff. I have Gibbs and Jennings or Debo. So which ones would you plug in, Debo over Jennings or Gibbs?
No.
I'm sticking with Gibbs.
Mm-hmm.
Full PPR, I'd probably still lean Jennings.
Yeah, if it's half or standard, I would go Debo.
Exactly.
I am right there with you. Austin, yeah, who's this guy Pitts? Who's this guy Pitts they speak of?
Yeah, he's come out of nowhere. Hopefully we can see him put something
Apparently
together.
he just needed a left-handed quarterback. That's all.
Yeah, unknown guy. Don't know about his draft capital or anything. Let's see what we can do with this kid next year.
No shots. They weren't low. They were right out in the open, Millie Mills.
Yeah.
They were out in the open. It's no low shots. Quick question, guys. Is Breece Hall and CMC a first rounder next year? And if not, where do you expect them to fall?
I think
we're going to talk about Breece Hall a little bit later.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think ADP, they're still going to fall back end first. People are going to see them as a value. Do they belong there? That's a whole nother question. I think Breece Hall is fine. Well, we'll talk about that later. But I think back end first is ADP, my ADP prediction. So
yeah, I think there's going to be some interesting trends we see starting this next Monday when you start the draft.
Yeah,
there's going to be some interesting trends to see where these running backs.
The only thing that sucks is sleeper ADP is still going to be using the preseason ADP. So we're going to need sharp people to draft with us. If you guys want to do a mock draft next Monday, start DMing the Club Fantasy Twitter at Club Fantasy FFL.
Sleeper, like hit us up on the mock draft chat too.
Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but try to be active. The ADP is not going to play well. So
yeah, I noticed that when Joel and I did one. So yeah, the ADP is 0 right now for everybody. Yesterday they had a grippy that didn't know what was going on. It was mad because I was out McMillan in the last second, told them it didn't matter. I have to 12 o'clock to set my lineups. Quincy, did I miss something?
Yeah.
Maybe go back up here. Nope.
Quincy,
clarify that for me because that was hard to understand there. Stonks says, just wanted to say thanks for the help, boys. Won my league, scored the most points from one team on any given week. Bucky and JD balled out.
You gotta love.
Stonks, go get that championship swag, baby.
You gotta love scoring the highest score of your entire season in the week 17 championship. Yep. That's awesome.
Love it.
Yeah. Love it.
For everybody on YouTube, there is a link in the description. It will take you right over to TrophySmack. Use promo code WOFF at checkout. Get yourself a free ring with the purchase of a championship belt or trophy.
All right, guys, let's dive into the shots of expressive quality performances that got the juices flowing yesterday. And Josh, lead us off. Joe Burrow on the thumbnail. Tell me.
Absolutely. Look, the Bengals are doing everything possible to try to make the playoffs when they did everything possible to not make the playoffs. Love how that works out. But Joe Burrow, 412 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, added another 25 and a rushing touchdown. Joe Burrow has now moved to 4th best odds in the MVP race because apparently if the Bengals somehow make the playoffs, he's the one that gets all the credit, which is rightfully so. But I want to say, if his defense wasn't this bad, would he be putting up these numbers that he's putting up?
That's always the question.
Just throwing that out there. But it's QB3 currently on the season. But what I love here is that he's added 202 and 2 touchdowns on the ground. And we always talk about how rushing helps elevate floors. He is the best pure pocket passer that is amongst the fantasy upper echelon at the quarterback position, with guys like Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold also in that conversation. 2 names that I did not think I would be putting in the same conversation with Joe Burrow. But Dude's having a phenomenal season. He's balled out this week. He's QB1 on the week. Oh, is he QB2? Jaden Daniels overtook him?
No, the name you just brought up, Baker Mayfield.
QB1 on the week?
Yeah. 5 tutties, baby.
5 tutties.
According to fantasy data scoring, Burrow is QB1 with 37 fantasy points.
You guys are, you're talking the difference between 4-point and 6-point.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, I'll let you have your QB1 bull crap that you want to bring up.
Because Baker takes it in 6-point.
Yeah. Find me a reliable 6-point per passing touchdown scoring system, and I'll reference that because
I don't know why. I bitch about this in every article.
Fantasy data used to have it, and I don't know why they went away from it.
They got rid of it, and everywhere else defaults to 4-point now too.
It's so I hate it so much. Can't stand it. But regardless, Joe Burrow, dog, absolute dog, and he wants people some championships. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I want to see what. Just out of curiosity, what the. Okay, so yeah, even Fantasy Pros defaults to 4-point. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, I don't play in 4-point passing leagues.
Nobody.
I mean, look, I don't either. I don't either.
6 points, so I don't understand why you play for 4. But that's beside the point. You can't change the old school, write down the scores and then look in the newspaper and make sure you're right, kind of thing. we have evolved. It is 2025 in like 2 days. Just in case you were wondering. Ryan, here's your guy.
Joe Burrow. Josh said won some people some championships. He also won Tee Higgins a payday, baby. Tee Higgins obviously going to be a free agent at the end of this season. 11 catches for 131 yards and 3 touchdowns in what I would call a prime time game. All the eyes of the football world were on this game, and Tee Higgins did the damn thing. One of the better catches I've seen on that sideline grab where his toe saved the day and then comes back and scores the touchdown right after that to win the game. But I wanted to see if anybody caught the whole interaction by Sauce Gardner on Twitter where Sauce Gardner was talking Tee Higgins up. And a Jets fan was like, well, now you need to talk him into coming to the Jets. And Sauce Gardner just straight up replied, I will not be doing that. And I don't know if that's like he doesn't like Tee Higgins or he doesn't want him to be subjected to play.
I'm going to say the latter.
That
That tells me that Sauce Gardner, the first chance he gets, that motherfucker is out of New York.
Yeah, so I found that extremely interesting, but you guys kind of already took away all my talking points in the chat. Tee Higgins is a guy I had sworn off for a long time, but here's the thing. If I know a guy's out and he's out, I can live with that, and I can live with 11 games from a wide receiver. That's the nature of football. I don't care if he misses 5 as long as he plays when he's supposed to play. And Tee Higgins fucking played when he fucking was supposed to play. So shout out Tee Higgins. Happy to welcome you back into the world of draftable assets. Though I actually had him in like 3 leagues this year. So clearly I had already stopped.
I was going to say, I don't think I drafted him in any leagues this year. And the one league that I had him in Dynasty, I traded him in the offseason.
Yeah, like I said, I clearly had already sworn it off. I think his ADP fell to kind of ridiculous levels because people were worried about the holdout. And I'm a whore for ADP value, so I'll take that every time. So,
yeah, I guess Sauce Gardner's not the only one because the rumor on NFL Game Day on NFL Network yesterday was that, of course, we already know Garrett Wilson wants out because of Aaron Rodgers and has already said that he will seek a trade if Aaron Rodgers is named the quarterback.
The balls to say something like that.
Well, I mean, and then he turns around and Aaron Rodgers feeds him yesterday.
Yeah.
But, that's beside the point, I guess. Josh, who's your next guy?
I want to give some love to Bijan Robinson because I feel like with all the talk around Saquon.
Time out. Let's make sure Millie Mills, are you in the chat?
This is for you, buddy.
This is for you.
But like, I feel like with Saquon crossing 2,000, the pursuit for 2,000, the rushing record, obviously Derrick Henry coming through and balling the way that he's been balling. Bijan Robinson has just absolutely flown under the radar. This might be the quietest, likely 1,300-yard rushing season that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He's the RB2 on the season overall. He was the RB2 this past week, 24.8 fantasy points, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. Added another 3 catches on the season. Even in points per game, he is tied for the RB2 spot with Jahmyr Gibbs, which could ultimately fall to RB3 depending on how Jahmyr Gibbs plays this year. But I mean, he's done it on the ground. He's done it through the air, 59, 428, and 1 receiving on 67 targets. He has been everything that this offense needed to be. And what a lot of us talked about was Zach Robinson coming in and taking over play calling, kind of running that similarities with the McVay-Shanahan system, where if you have a legitimate RB1, you're going to feed him the football. Bijan Robinson's been doing that. I think he's at 4.8 yards per carry. He's been very efficient on the ground. He's done everything we wanted him to be, and nobody's talking about it. So I just wanted to give some flowers to Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, 4.6 actually, not counting yesterday. So I'm sure it didn't go down very much yesterday. My problem is as much as I like Bijan, they like to use Tyler Algier in the wrong positions for Bijan.
I mean, that's fair, and I get that, but that's what happens when you have two good backs. I mean, it's not like Algier's some slouch. He had 1,000 yards his rookie season, so that's how you keep good running backs fresh.
I get it, but I don't care about fresh running backs when it comes to my fantasy team. So,
you will when they're hurt in week 12.
No, I trade them off and go get somebody else. Anyway, who's the next guy, Ryan?
I got to talk about Malik Nabers. Surprisingly, the Giants don't get a lot of primetime games, so I didn't get to see a lot of Malik. Yeah, I didn't get to see a lot of Malik Nabers this year. This kid is unreal, and I know this is probably not news to a lot of you, but I don't watch college football. And so I want to rewind to, I don't know how good, I have to go apparently watch old Marvin Harrison Jr. tape. I don't know what Marvin Harrison showed on tape to make me think or anyone think he was better than Malik Nabers, but we were duped. Malik Nabers is special, something else. A couple of those plays yesterday, the long touchdown, I don't know that anyone else in the league, save maybe Jamar Chase, could have done what Malik Nabers did in that long touchdown. 7 for 171 and 2 touchdowns this week. And a special note, as someone who was touting Tyrone Tracy all season, Nabers and Tyrone Tracy are the first rookie duo to each hit 1,000 yards since 2006, and they're the third duo to ever do it. And I love that, like, this is going to sound weird, I love that they're being lumped together because it tells me maybe there's still a future for Tyrone Tracy with the New York Giants. Like, he's being looked at as this good rookie player, and he's being lumped in with the best player on the Giants roster. I like Tyrone Tracy. He was a guy I liked coming out of college. I'm hoping Tyrone Tracy still has a future in this league. So.
Hey, remember when I told you that Tyler Algier also had 1,000 yards his rookie season?
Yeah.
One of the
that just ruined my mood.
One of the best rookie seasons at quarterback came from LSU. One of the best rookie seasons at wide receiver came from LSU, Malik Nabers. So just and that both of those happened this year with Jaden Daniels and Malik Nabers. So maybe
Malik Nabers. There was a great interview after the game too. Obviously, Keon Coleman and Xavier Legette have been getting all the mic time. Malik Nabers is no slouch on the mic either. They were asking him about the touchdown where he split the defenders, and the reporter's like, "Hey, I wanted to ask you about that touchdown run." And Malik Nabers goes, "Which one?" And he goes, "The one on the right sideline." Malik Nabers says, "They were both on the right sideline." And he goes, "Okay, the long one." He's like, "Oh, okay." So it was pretty fun. So
yeah, the other thing I liked about Malik was, of course, being in New York, that's where the Heisman was at. He got to sit there and play catch with Shedeur Sanders in the streets of New York a couple weeks ago. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah, I saw Shedeur Sanders had those like custom New York Giants cleats at his locker on Saturday's bowl game.
Don't do that. They've already moved back into their. They don't have.
Shedeur Sanders is predicting himself to be the 4th pick of the draft. There you go. You heard it here first.
Josh, who's your last guy?
I'm gonna give some love to Zach Ertz. It's tight end 2 on the week, 25.2 fantasy points. Look, we all know my love for Philly. Zach Ertz is a Philly guy. Still does a lot in the city. This was vintage Zach Ertz. 7 targets, 6 catches, 72 yards, 2 touchdowns, including the game winner in overtime. Injuries have derailed him the last couple of years. I liked his upside heading into this season as somebody that could be sort of like a low-end tight end 1, a streaming option throughout the year. He's currently the tight end 7 on the season. He's averaging over 10 fantasy points, 10.1 to be exact. I mean, this is what it is. 61 catches, 610 yards, 10 yards per catch. This is straight out of the Jason Witten handbook for white tight ends. Like, this is what he does. How can you not love Zach Ertz on this season. And truthfully, like, I know everybody was so high and up in arms about Ben Sinnott. This wasn't ever going to be a thing.
Turns out you shouldn't bet on fullbacks in fantasy football.
Thank you. Yeah, love me some Zach Ertz, and as much as I don't love the fact that he's on the Commanders, but I'm happy for Zach Ertz showing that he hasn't fallen off yet.
Yeah, gotta love it. You gotta, like I brought up earlier about his quarterback being pro enough to make sure.
That was pretty incredible. Yeah.
So, Ryan,
we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Trey McBride. It took 17 weeks and over 100 catches, but he finally scores a receiving touchdown, even though I told everybody he wouldn't score one this week. 12 catches for 123 yards and a touchdown this week. Turns out he's not Cole Kmet. He doesn't go a whole bunch of games and not score a touchdown, though he did score that rushing touchdown earlier in the season. This is actually a second touchdown. But what I think is truly incredible is if you just look at Trey McBride's box score, 104 receptions, 1,081 yards. And we're not talking about it because of how good Brock Bowers was. Everything McBride did, Bowers did better. Shout out to Trey McBride, who has a long future in this league, and it's been a weird season for him. Glad to see him get the monkey off of his back in week 17.
98th catch, finally catches a touchdown.
I thought it was the 101st. I'm pissed. I thought it was I misread it then. So
the previous high for most catches to start an NFL season without a touchdown in NFL history was 92.
Okay, I knew he broke that. I thought he got over 100.
You know who it was?
I don't.
Keyshawn Johnson.
Full
circle back to the Jets.
There you go. Fuck the Jets. Keyshawn Johnson would also leave if Aaron Rodgers was there.
Real quick, I want to bring him up because we haven't talked about him much at all this year. Mike Evans, dude. I mean, just another solid performance. Wide receiver 10 on a average points per game per Fantasy Pros at 17. Remember, he missed 3 vital games earlier in the season. He needs 85 yards for the 11th straight season, which would tie Jerry Rice for the most 1,000 yards season.
So we all know Evans is the only one to do it to start a career.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Rice has 14 all time, but also had an 11 from year 2 to year 13. So this is where he could tie Rice, but amazingly still, he would need to do this for 3 more years to tie Jerry Rice's career. If that doesn't tell you young folks what you need to know about Jerry Rice.
Well, yeah, that offense was a passing offense before there was passing offenses.
Exactly, but still not to the extent of what a passing offense is now.
Nope, not at all.
And 16 games. So
not at all. All right, let's get back over to the chat real quick. Austin jumps in and says, I'm up 1 point in my main league with Amon-Ra left. I need him, and I need him to get 15 to 20 points to give me a decent lead. It's a stupid 2-week matchup. I also got to play week 18.
So I've always been intrigued by these 2-week matchups, but there was one when 2-week matchups started. I've been playing fantasy for a long time. I thought, and maybe I was just wrong, I thought you had to play the same lineup for both weeks. So I was always against it, but at least now you can like change your lineup. But I find the concept intriguing, but week 17 football is already giving me ulcers. I can't deal with week 18 football. So.
Yeah, week 18 might give you aneurysms.
Yeah, exactly.
Quincy says, this is referring to the chat earlier, to the comment earlier. They had a group chat that and everybody was mad that at the last second he put in McMillan, and they said he was subbing at game time.
Who gives a shit?
I was gonna say your league site will lock it when the kickoff starts. So if you were able to put him in last minute, you did it legally. So
let me tell you this. For whatever reason, all week in my one championship, I had Goff starting over Knicks and Mondre starting over J.K. Dobbins. I literally changed it at 12:57. Was like, what the hell was I thinking? And like fix those.
If you can change your 4 o'clock lineups, why can't you change your 12 o'clock? As long as the platform is letting you do it, it is what it is.
Exactly.
Unless there is a league rule that says you have to have your lineup set.
And then quit that league. That's the stupidest thing. First of all, it's not like you got any. The guy scored what the guy scored. You didn't get an advantage because you waited.
Yeah,
how weird.
No
What a
doubt.
weird thing to
Austin,
cry about.
does Bowers play next week, or do I need to go with Jonnu?
Haven't dug into it, but
good.
Bowers doesn't seem like a sit down guy for me. I think they're going to play him out. So
Yeah, I don't know why they would sit him. I mean, the Raiders don't seem to care about where they land in the draft order anyway. So
yeah,
Yep, that's fair.
let him stack that record.
Jennifer says Sauce is about to bounce.
yeah.
Sounds that way.
And Millie's, yes. Millie's was here for your Bijan love. Josh, say it louder. Make sure Mr. Tampa heard that. Caesar.
Tampa's got a good young running back too. Bucky Irving is going to be doing some things.
Yeah, more on that.
I like
later.
him a lot.
Betting Evans under yards next week, pay out millions. But I don't know that that's a good bet.
He's getting 85.
No. That's what he's saying. He's saying anybody. They're saying it should.
Yeah.
There's no chance he's getting under. So.
And if he does, they're going to pay out millions. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Caesar says he swapped Falcons kicker for the Vikings kicker last minute, which got him an extra 4 points. Hoping that difference helps win the chip tonight.
I hope the league chat doesn't find out about that last minute swap.
Maybe he's not in the same.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, Lord have mercy. Let's get over to the migraines. Worse than a hangover. The underwhelming performance that is a prelude of what is to come in 2025. And Josh, kick it off.
I'm going to talk about Travis Etienne. I was pretty high on him heading into the season. I had him as a top 10 running back. Obviously, the wheels fell off of this Jags offense. But what's crazy to me is that we've seen good running back performances on bad teams, right? Like the Cardinals aren't a great team. James Conner's been great. Breece Hall was great last year on a bad Jets team. Saquon did it for years with the Giants. Yes, I understand Travis Etienne's missed 3 games. He has just over half of the amount of rushing yards that he had last year. This is just unfathomable to me how bad this Jags offense is to where they have just fallen off a cliff and taken Travis Etienne with him. I know Tank Bigsby kind of found his legs after last year, started to really cut into that, first, second down role. But Travis Etienne's always been valuable as a pass catcher. And even that has not been lifting up his fantasy value. He was the RB26 this week, scoring only 8.5 fantasy points. On the season, he's averaging only 8.7 fantasy points. Overall, he's the RB38. That's not even an RB3.
Yeah, it's rough.
This is not good. And remember, he missed all of his rookie season. So he's heading into his 4th playing year, but this is his 5th year option. If you're a rebuilding Jags team, which is likely going to fire Doug Peterson, that would now, if you keep Travis Etienne, that's going to be him playing for his 3rd head coach in his rookie contract. Why do they have any incentive to keep him on this team?
Wouldn't he be all dead cap though if they got rid of him because of the 5th year option? I think that's just
if they
you're paying
trade
him not
him.
to play.
Well, no, because that's
okay,
a solid
okay.
bet, right? They're not going to cut him.
Okay.
But also, too, they never should have picked up the 5th year option.
Well, there's that.
My personal opinion. But
or
you could
drafted
make
a running back in the
that
first
if
round.
You trade him, if you trade, look at the teams that went out and got good.
100%,
backs, right? This could be a new trend where teams that might be on the cusp of something could make a move for a 1-year guy in Etienne, or maybe you sign him to an extension to then lower that 5th year cap hit, right? Maybe it's a 2-year extension. So now it becomes a 3-year deal, which lowers the cap hit, etc. Look at what Connor got 3 years from the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Pollard got 3 years from the Titans. These could kind of be those types of new contracts for running backs that aren't in that Saquon, Derrick Henry type tier, right?
Yeah.
If Travis Etienne makes that kind of move, sure, you can see the value. But if he's stuck on the Jags, he's a hard fade for me in 2025.
With the way the Raiders are throwing to their running backs, if the Raiders get a quarterback out of this draft and then go get Travis Etienne to pair with Brock
that
Bowers,
could be fun to watch. That could be fun. I agree.
Yeah.
Everything you just said about Travis Etienne can also be said when it comes to the coaching staff about Trevor Lawrence. They were in the same.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but they signed him to the extension. Though.
I get it, but you're still talking about his third head coach, his third offense. It's just, and we've seen what that does to these young players when they have multiple. Justin Fields, how you doing? But yeah, it's not a good look at all. Ryan, who's your guy?
It's a motto I take for fantasy a lot. When someone tells you who they are, believe them. I think Brian Robinson is who he is at this point. Rushing quarterbacks kind of changed the equation for running backs, and Brian Robinson's lack of passing work just makes him a very unappealing fantasy asset. We always get into this thing around the 5th and 6th round where, well, he's a starting running back, I better take him. And so Robinson is the RB29 this season. He's the RB25 from a points per game basis. He was the RB24 this past week. 13 carries for 60 yards, 2 catches for 9 yards, 0 touchdowns. He is so incredibly touchdown dependent. And while he did score a career high in touchdowns this year, Jaden Daniels is going to get more and more comfortable, and he's going to throw to tight ends, and he's going to get more wide receivers involved, and he's going to start taking some more of those touchdowns himself. But then to make matters worse for Robinson, he's 26 next season. The Fantasy Footballers had a great stat a few years ago where they had tracked almost no running backs improve after the age of 25. Now, obviously, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, you can't call it an improvement. Saquon Barkley is having the season of his life post age 25.
Barkley's situation improved.
Exactly. Yeah, there's that too. Yeah. Most running backs don't have their better seasons. He'll be 26 next season. I think he's a fantasy RB3, but he's a fantasy RB3 with no ceiling. And to me, that's not someone I'm reaching out for to get in drafts.
Just curious, Brian, where did you have Brian Robinson before the season started, like in your preseason rankings?
Let's see if I can find that quickly for you.
I had him at RB24.
I was
dead on the nose, which is basically where he's at.
I was one of the higher people. I think this is the document I'm looking for. I was one of the higher people on Austin Eckler this season, so it probably hurt Robinson for me in the long run because I was telling everybody to go get Austin Eckler, which if he had played the whole season, I may have been right. I had Brian Robinson as RB32, so I'm looking pretty smart right now.
Nice. Craig says, I'm glad I had Mayfield and Herbert. I'm still behind 20 points. I have Kittle left, and I think he has Laporta. Ridley didn't help much, and also A.J. Brown and even Joe Mixon and Chan.
Yeah, that's rough.
A few years ago, Etienne was good. Yeah, when he was at Clemson, he was really good.
He was good last year. Solid last year. So.
Well, a big part of it is use in the passing game, and that putting it bluntly, outside of Brian Thomas Jr., that passing game is a fucking mess right now. So Josh hit it best. They're a rebuilding team, and they're like, it's not even just rebuilding; it's like starting over again. And it's like, how many times are you going to keep forcing it? It's frustrating.
Rough. All right, let's get into morning mimosas. The early morning tingly feeling. Something is on the horizon and should be expecting more in 2025. Josh, kick us off.
I'm going to talk about Justin Herbert. Everybody was down on him heading into the season. They said he wasn't going to do what he was going to do because of, Jim Harbaugh coming in. They're going to run the football. Greg Roman, quarterback issues, blah, 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 all this other stuff. He's QB 11 on the season. 21 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Still has over 3,500 passing yards, which, yes, is 14th in the league. Not great, but it's still pretty solid passing numbers, right? And this is my issue because I talked up Herbert. I was one of the few that actually still had him as a top 12 quarterback going into the season. I had him as QB 10. He's QB 11. Feel like I'm doing okay with that one. I had one more interceptions, but still. But this is what I love here because this is what Jim Harbaugh does. He comes in, reshapes the team. This team was bad last year. He's got him in the playoff. He loves these reclamation projects. They went through, they reworked some of these bad contracts, and they're doing all of this with a lot of dead cap. You go into 2025, the Chargers currently sit with the 7th most cap space and close to $60 million available. You found a great wide receiver in Ladd McConkey. You got just enough out of the running game with, I don't know what you want to call J.K. Dobbins at this point, but it's not going to be an RB1. I can tell you that. But you got juice out of him, right? Offensive line is good. They can definitely get better. Now you take this cap space. You can add in, I'll say legitimate wide receiver 1, because I do like McConkey, but I don't think he's a true 1. He could be a 1B. You add in a better running back. You add pieces to that defense to replace the veterans like Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, get some young kids in there that maybe can learn from Mack. Move on from Bosa, who has been awful for years now. Don't fade Justin Herbert next year.
Well, and then
because he's going to be a fucking dog when you really put some pieces in this offense.
You have Harbaugh, who's still extremely tied to the college game. You have to imagine for the next 2 years, they should do really well in the draft with hitting on their players.
Well, and look how much they've been targeting the tight end position, right? Like they've been linked to his tight end from Michigan, who's one of the top 2 at the position coming out. I've seen mock drafts where Ashton Genty goes there. Like, I'm really curious to see what this team does in free agency, because, I mean, we talked about it, I think it was last week, the potential of Tee Higgins landing in it with the Chargers, right? You put Tee Higgins with Ladd McConkey, that could very well be a better version of Mike Williams and Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
When I say better, I'm thinking like Tee Higgins better than Mike Williams, Ladd McConkey just below Keenan Allen.
Far below Keenan Allen.
Now let's talk trade, right? Maybe they go out and they trade for Travis Etienne.
I was just going to bring that up. I was wondering what you would.
And I'm going to mention another guy a little bit later who, if the Chargers make a phone call and you drop this guy in this offense, the Chargers could be really dangerous on offense next year and could ultimately make Justin Herbert that much better in fantasy football.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a tease.
Yeah.
Who is it?
He's going to tell it later.
I'll tell you later.
Oh.
There's a different section for it.
Golly. Wow. That was just rude and unneeded on this hangover. Anxiety. You're creating more.
Yeah. Grab the aspirin. I got your solution.
Ryan.
I hope I don't get burnt, but Bucky Irving isn't getting out of any first round that I'm in next year. I think this kid is a top 10 back next season. He's the RB4 this week, and I love that he did it RB4 without scoring a touchdown. 113 rushing, 77 more passing. RB3 in fantasy since week 12, 5.5 yards per carry. That's something we've talked about with this Tampa Bay offensive line and this Tampa Bay running game for 3 seasons now, was they were so inefficient, and why wouldn't they give Bucky a chance? They did. He delivered. More importantly, 45 catches on 47 targets, 2 missed opportunities this entire season. And by the way, he's the second receiving back. He did that as not the primary receiver. And who's to say he doesn't take that role over next season? I think this kid is special. I think this offense in general is a perfectly symbiotic offense. I want to see improvement out of the offensive line. But overall, I like what this team is showing, and I love what I'm seeing from Bucky Irving. He is going to be on a lot of my fantasy teams next season.
Hell, as a Tampa fan, I don't give a shit about the offensive line. I want to see fucking improvement on the defense, and the head coach,
that's true too.
Defensive fucking guy, needs to fucking figure it out. Oh, did I say? I'm sorry. I didn't realize we were.
Yeah, you blacked out.
Realize we were live. I'm sorry. I
apologize.
Golly. Yeah, Bucky Irving. That's one guy we will not be talking about getting traded anytime soon.
No, like I said, I'll be super interested to see where his ADP falls, but I plan on targeting him this upcoming mock draft on Monday. I want to hopefully end up with a late pick, and I want to take a team with Irving there and see what I can build with it. So
I like it. Josh, you got another one?
I do. Yeah, I'm gonna make this one quick. Michael Penix Jr. Not really anything crazy stat-wise that he's done the last 2 weeks starting for this team. Yes, he has interceptions in back-to-back games. The first one last week, not really his fault at all. This one here, I mean, he's doing everything to keep the offense in check, right? He's letting the defense play defense. But what I love about this, when you watch that last drive before overtime, he just drove this team right down the field. He got the ball in Pitts' hands, made a play, touchdown, tied the game. And he was doing it against the coach who was trying to lose this game for them, apparently, with all these missed calls with the timeouts, right? He had the composure. That's what you want to see from a young quarterback.
Yeah.
Because now he's going to have the entire offseason to work with these weapons. And he has some really good weapons here. We know about Bijan Robinson. We know about Drake London, who's been a top 10 wide receiver this year. Darnell Mooney has been really good. Yes, Kyle Pitts has had some struggles, but he's still 24 years old. He is learning this system, learning how to play in this league. And it's not easy for tight ends, period, because you're learning two positions. You're learning the offensive line position, and you're learning the wide receiver position. There's a lot to like here with Michael Penix going into 2025. And I think he's going to be somebody that, if you take him as like a backup quarterback, he's not going to offer much from a rushing perspective. But if I look at like Tua, right? And I know this is just a bad comparison because you're comparing lefty to lefty and it's lazy. But with what he's able to do slinging the football with these,
I don't think it's that bad of a comp, but I don't know.
He can get 3,700 passing yards and the upside of 30 touchdowns, right? The ceiling, obviously, you want to see is Joe Burrow at 4,540 touchdowns. But if you put him in that 25 to 30 touchdown passes, 3,500 to 4,000 passing yards, that's going to be a QB1 in fantasy. And I think that upside is there if he continues to progress.
Can he make Kyle Pitts fantasy relevant? That's all we need to know.
I think that's more on the offense than anything. But.
Well, I mean, that and they got to use timeouts better. I don't know. I keep going back to that. All right, Ryan, who's your last guy? I was really hoping Josh was going to bring this guy up. So
I think the most shocking stat line of a ton of shocking Week 17 stat lines was 18 targets for Jerry Jeudy from the statistical worst quarterback of the week. DTR is the QB 32, and 2 starters haven't played yet. So not good at all. The Browns clearly want Jerry Jeudy to be a part of this offense. I was a Jerry Jeudy truther early on. Obviously, Sutton was the better pick. I'm not gonna fight that anymore. But I do think there's still talent. I think there's still pedigree. I think there's still something to Jerry Jeudy. And if the coaching staff in Cleveland remains the same, I think he's a high upside wide receiver 3 next season, depending on who the quarterback is. That's going to matter a lot. But again, 18 targets with the worst quarterback in football, maybe it doesn't matter all that much.
Well, the problem is the worst quarterback in football, but the worser quarterback sounds like he's coming back. They restructured his deal again, so he's going to be the starter, and that's Deshaun Watson. Then we didn't see jack shit from Jerry Jeudy with Deshaun Watson as the starter.
Yeah.
Well, and then they went through and restructured his contract again.
Yep.
I'm like, why is Cleveland doing this?
Well, they're trying to push that dead money out.
Yep,
take it now and be bad, dude. Like seriously,
that's what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did. Not that it was a bad contract because they did get the Super Bowl with Tom Brady, but there was a lot of dead money when Tom Brady,
what the Saints are still doing with Taysom Hill. They gave him that ridiculous deal a few years ago, and they just keep kicking the can.
Yep, and we've seen that doesn't work in the NFL at all. You kick that can down the road and it just keeps it hits something and bounces right back at you. So give you the stat of the day for me. The Chiefs are the first team in 97 years to play on 6 different days of the week. The last team to do it was back in 1927. You ready for this?
So the only day they haven't played is Tuesday?
Correct.
We haven't had Tuesday games this year?
Correct. The only other team to do that was back in 1927. Can you name the team, Ryan?
Probably not.
They're related. They're not related, but they have the same name as a baseball team, and it's the New York Yankees.
Oh,
they played back in the Yankees were an NFL team from 1926 to 1929. Very, very short-lived franchise there. But yes, to answer the question, the Yankees played on every day except Monday.
Interesting.
So,
very different from today's NFL.
Yep. The Chiefs played 10 games on Sunday, 2 on Monday, 0 on Tuesday, 1 on Wednesday, 1 on Thursday, 1 on Friday, and 1 on Saturday this year.
That's a fun one. I like it.
Another bizarre one. Here's a bizarre one. There have only been 4 games that have been played on Wednesday. The Ravens and Steelers, between the 2 of them, have played 2 games each in 5 seasons.
Wow.
So just interesting little tidbits and I don't know. I like those fun little
Yeah,
interesting.
that was a great one.
Great trivia questions for when you go to the bar. Like, bitch, I know that
Yeah.
the Yankees were a fucking football team in the 20s. Let's get over to the chat real quick. Couple more real quick. Bakes a lot. Mr. Bakes a lot. I need Garindo to do well in 2 leagues, Debo to do better than him in 1. Rooting for and against the same player in the last game of the season is what fantasy is all.
That is fantasy football. I like Garindo tonight, actually.
I mean,
we had some questions about him on Saturday, and there was a lot of like, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? And then, of course, after the show comes out is when they remove him off the injury report.
Yep,
and it's like,
exactly.
okay, yeah, you can trust him. So,
Craig wants to know what are your thoughts on Mayfield and Evans next season?
Similar to what they did this season.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. They'll probably both be draft values because
Mayfield is doing his best Brett Favre impersonation. Great touchdowns, a lot of turnovers, a lot of yards, keeping the team competitive.
Yeah, I don't see much change as long as they can keep the offensive coordinator around. So.
Yep.
Well,
that's going to be the biggest because Liam Cohen is going to be a pretty hot name in these head coaching circles. And there's going to be a lot of openings, I think.
Yes. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers might be one of those openings, and Liam Cohen staying right in house.
That'd be cool.
If that happens,
I think the only way Todd Bowles gets fired is if they figure out how to lose this division next week.
Yeah.
All they have to do is look at the fucking stats from the defense and see that Todd Bowles' defense is so fucking 1940s.
Yeah.
It's garbage. It's very, very simple to look at it. Dylan says, this is to win $1,200 full PPR. I'm currently in the lead by 49.2 points exactly. My opponent has Gibbs and Jennings left.
Wait, is his opponent in the chat? I feel like there's somebody else who said they needed 49 points out of Gibbs and Jennings. I'm barely joking about that.
Yeah. How do you like his odds here? I'm going to go back up while you're talking about it, Ryan, and look because it's
something similar. I think it was actually the one where they needed 70 points. So because we were joking about 15 from Gibbs and 65 from Jennings. I like your odds a lot, Dylan. I think you're $1,200 richer. If you want to buy yourself a very cool trophy and get a free ring, check out TrophySmack.com/WOFF. Use promo code WOFF.
Josh, anything to add to this lead of 40?
Exactly what Ryan said.
Yep.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Look, I need 35, 34 points or whatever it is from Jahmyr Gibbs. So, he can get that and Jennings can drop a dud and you still win. I'll take it.
Let's do it.
Dylan says he will be drafting Bucky at 101 at this rate. Dude is so good.
It's something else. I love the way he plays. So
how do you guys think his Ravens will do this postseason?
The AFC is nuts because obviously this hurts me to say because I'm a de facto Chiefs fan. The Chiefs feel like pretenders without a doubt. Like it's hard to look at them and not feel that way. But then no offense to the Ravens, the best team in the AFC right now might be the Bengals. They just need to figure out how to play defense, and they may not even make the fucking playoffs. So,
this is true. Yeah.
Their
offense is definitely the hottest. That's for sure.
Yeah. But I think the Ravens are set up to succeed. He's exactly right. The moving of Kyle Hamilton, just from an IDP standpoint, it changed him as an IDP player. He's become so much more viable over the last month. And so they're doing all the right things. Lamar is playing MVP football. It's just crazy who you have to run through to win the AFC this year because we've talked about this before back when Justin Herbert was the hot commodity. Is the AFC is just so fucking stacked at quarterback, and now you got to go if Burrow's able to make the playoffs, now you got to go through all of them. So
yeah, it's definitely a daunting task. Like you said, the Chiefs kind of feeling like pretenders. I think the biggest thing working in their favor, like it's one of those things where it feels like, what goes up must come down kind of thing. Like the Chiefs are winning so many close games that it's like at a certain point, they're going to play off ready. Right?
Yeah.
But you know what? This is a tried and true tested team. This is a championship team. There's nothing that tells me that they're going to fall off. Like they know how to win these close games.
There's nothing about them that tells you they're going to fold. That's exactly right.
Correct. Exactly. And now their offense seems to be getting hotter because Xavier Worthy figured out how to play football and not be a rookie anymore.
When the Vikings kept winning those close games, we knew they were going to collapse.
Because they didn't have that championship.
They don't have they don't have
the same thing with the Eagles last year, right? They 10-1 in the beginning part of the season, but they looked ugly winning those 10 games. And the wheels fell off. They lost 5 of their last 6. So that's where I'm at with this Chiefs team. Like on Wednesday when we're going through and like we're making our predictions and stuff for the Super Bowl and the playoffs and all this stuff, like I was going back and looking at last year. Not a damn one of us picked the Chiefs to win. I'm really curious to see if any of us actually picked the Chiefs to win, because I still think that they have just as good a shot as anybody else, because while they haven't put up 30 points this year yet, their defense keeps playing well.
Yeah.
I love what the Ravens are doing, and I really want to see Lamar Jackson win. You can't sit here and tell me that a 2-time MVP doesn't deserve a Super Bowl trophy. At a certain point, he's going to get it, and he's having an arguably better season this year than either of his 2 MVP seasons, and may not win the MVP because Josh Allen is having a great season himself.
Yeah.
Well, if Lamar does win the MVP and he doesn't get to the Super Bowl, he'll be the first one in NFL history to have 3 MVPs and no Super Bowl appearance.
So. That's wild to me. That is wild to me.
Mm-hmm. Very, 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 very.
But if there's a year to win it for the Ravens, you ride Derrick Henry until you cannot ride him anymore. Plain and simple. And let's not forget the Ravens were this close to beating the Chiefs in week 1.
That's what I was going to say. Chiefs almost have an extra loss there.
Literally, that much of Isaiah Likely's foot on the line.
Yep.
Yeah, I still can't believe that the Chiefs are 15-1 and have not scored 30 points on offense. It's crazy. Real quick, I do want to give Craig a shout out. His Qs won the Holiday Bowl with McCord. It sounds like their O-line is on the way, all coming back. I know he had to get out of here, so I just wanted to pop that up for him.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm a big Syracuse fan myself. I love what McCord's done there this season, and me and my buddies just decided in March we're gonna travel out there and catch Syracuse Wake Forest basketball game out in Syracuse. So
didn't McCord set the ACC record for passing yards in a season this year?
Yeah, McCord with the big middle finger to Ohio State.
Ryan, this is something funny. I just got a kick out of this. It's the Miami Hurricanes. You know, Josh's football team that he likes. Still has not won 11 games in a season since 2001.
Yeah, since they were in the Big East.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so that's fucking wild to me. I remember when they were going in the ACC, it was like they were trying to set it up to where Miami would play Florida State every year.
Yep.
Has been anything but for the Hurricanes. The ACC has been like our kiss of death. It's like Ryan's 2 touchdown special.
Exactly. I destroy everything.
Let's get over to Ryan's favorite part of the show and chill the fuck out. The good or the bad game that it was merely a blip on the schedule. And Josh, go ahead.
So remember that running back that I was teasing before? Let's talk a little bit about Breece Hall, because he was a consensus top 5 running back heading into this season. And he has been anything but. He's the RB 16 on the season. The Jets offense, the Jets organization, it is an absolute mess. They're going to be turning over everything. They've already fired Robert Saleh. They've already fired Joe Douglas. They need to fire Woody Johnson. That's the next move. But you can't really fire owners, unfortunately. But this is what I like, right? He's the RB 16 on the season, only has 800 some odd rushing yards. But he's given us a receiving stat line of 71 targets, 54 catches, 468 yards, 2 touchdowns. Anytime that you can do that in a given season, your value is still going to be there. And again, this Jets offense and organization should probably go through a full other rebuild again. You cannot go into next season with Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback. You just can't do it. So if that happens, why should you hang on to Breece Hall? Look what the Giants did, hanging on and choosing their running back, or not choosing their running back, excuse me.
Yeah.
Right? They invested in a bad quarterback. But regardless, they could have gotten out from under Saquon earlier to jumpstart a rebuild, because we already knew how good Saquon Barkley was.
Yeah, it could have got something for Saquon instead of letting him walk. So,
and now he has a chance to set the all-time rushing record against them in Week 18. I just want to throw out that level of irony right there.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Is it in New York?
The Jets need to move off of Breece Hall and get value for him now. And if I'm the Chargers, I'm making that phone call.
Yeah.
Because if you want to support Justin Herbert with a good running game, you can really do that with Breece Hall at running back.
Yeah.
You're not going to do it with J.K. Dobbins.
Unfortunately, Ryan, no, it is in Philly.
Oh, okay.
But it would have been
so good because
it would have been so good in New York.
Well, I get these Giants fan pages suggested to me because of where I live, and the all out saltiness of Giants fans about Saquon Barkley is just the funniest shit to me. So
their owner brought it up on Hard Knocks. I just hate it if he's going to go to Philly.
Yep.
And
he only needs 101 yards will set the record.
Yep.
Like Philly doesn't have anything really to play for. Like they're locked into that 2 seed. So it boils down to, do we play Saquon? Do we let him get the record?
Here's what we do.
Rest them and just say, look, you got your 2,000 yards. You're good, homie. Like we got to make sure that you're healthy for the playoffs because he's already got 345 rush attempts on the season.
Look, we Brett Favre, Michael Strahan this thing. The Eagles take the opening kick and take a knee at the 1 yard line.
And let him go for 99 yards.
Giants part like the Red Sea and let Saquon go for 99 on play 1. He goes for 2 on play 2 on the next drive. Saquon sits. He gets the record. Everybody's happy except for Eric Dickerson.
But see, here's
the Giants aren't going to let him do that. Let's be real here.
No, listen.
The Giants got handed a record by Brett Favre. That's what I'm saying. This is
the Giants, but you don't have to set this up with the Giants. The Giants can do that on their own.
You don't even need
You are not wrong.
The Eagles down every kick at the 1 yard line because they know it's the Giants.
I believe it was Lisa Salters asked Saquon about that after the game yesterday. And he's like, it's up to Nick Sirianni. I don't really care about I care about the record, but I really don't care about the record.
And that's the thing is like Sirianni's such a player's coach. Like I could see him saying, look, you've got a quarter, you've got a half to make this happen, right?
Yeah, that's what I figured.
If you don't get it, you don't get it. It's cool. But I think, truthfully, this record means more to the offensive line and Jeff Stoutland, the offensive line coach, than it does to Saquon.
And Saquon was giving that offensive line all kinds of credit in that.
And that's what I love about Saquon. He's such a team first guy.
You could very well see no Jalen Hurts, no Pickett this week because of the injuries, and of course they don't need to get out there and get hurt again. Mm-hmm. So you could very well see McKee in there, and instead,
plus if you let the Giants win, then they really don't get their franchise quarterback.
Could you imagine the first quarter
with the 10th pick of the draft?
The first quarter, the Eagles go out there, get Saquon the record, and then sit everybody and be like, hey, just let them score.
Yeah.
Let's really screw them up.
Chess, not checkers, baby.
Good Lord.
Because they already fucked up their draft position by beating the Colts. So if we let them win, that messes them up even more. So they're going to have to give up more assets to trade up to potentially get their guy. Or they're going to whiff on them and miss them again.
There you go. Daniel Jones.
Ryan, who's your guy?
It's a rookie heavy show for me. I want to make sure people don't sleep on Rome Odunze next season. I'm worried the hate for Caleb Williams is so real. Don't let that make you fade Rome Odunze. This past game was ugly. No one performed. I'm not holding Odunze to that. Over the last month, he's averaging 15 yards per catch, and he was a top 30 wide receiver from weeks 14 to 16 before this dud. Obviously, that's not like set the world on fire, but they're not all Malik Nabers and Brian Thomas Jr. Rome Odunze was being compared to those guys before the draft. He has some growing to do. I don't like to give up on players quickly. See Bryce Young. So I think he and Caleb still have a future. And if I can land Rome Odunze as like my wide receiver 4 where I don't have to start him early on, I think there's something developing between those two. And we started to see it. I'm not going to let this one very ugly week scare me off of Rome Odunze.
Well, let's not forget Keenan Allen's also a free agent.
That's why I figure Allen's probably gone.
Leaving, now he takes a step up in that target share.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the Giants real quick because before the show, I was joking with Josh about Drew Lock playing for a contract, and he is. He is a UFA, unrestricted free agent next.
So he did only sign a 1-year deal.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. And that was nothing to do with any part of the show. Just wanted to add that in there. I think we got one or two more in the chat here. Jubal says needs 17.7 from Amon-Ra tonight for back-to-back titles.
I think you're in good shape. At least I did
I don't.
till the beginning of the show. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, since Josh has poo-pooed on all of our Detroit.
Yeah, basically
All right,
Detroit sucks, and anything happy that you want to happen because of the Detroit Lions is going to fail your whole life.
Look, they don't have anything to play for. They don't.
Which leads
it
Josh
does not
to
matter
his
whether they
favorite
win or lose this
underdog
game.
prop.
Yeah, sorry, dog. Real quick, Caesar says hated that the Jets got all those garbage points against the Bills defense. Yeah. All right, let's get over to tonight's game. Who is it? Detroit at San Francisco. Spread of 3.5 for Detroit. Over under of 50.5. I don't even know if we're going to hit that tonight because Josh has got me all upside down on this Detroit.
Well, Detroit minus feels real nice now too, because San Francisco, I mean, I guess they don't really have a ton to play for, but I don't know.
I think right now, at the way Josh has been propping up
that's what I'm saying. Like San Francisco plus feels like the right bet.
Yeah, it might be just San Francisco outright. Take them on the money line and be done with it, right?
More money off of it.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Detroit could put up 30 in the first half. Let's be real here.
There's that too.
So
see, okay, Josh, make up your fucking mind. What's happening?
I'm just throwing out scenarios, man.
2 Jahmyr Gibbs touchdowns.
Josh over
Jahmyr
here.
Gibbs touchdowns. 2 Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdowns.
Josh over here throwing all kinds of stuff at the wall and seeing what's going to stick. And
exactly.
Like if I
right at one point,
if I say it all, I will be right. Don't forget about the other ones, right? Well, don't forget to sign up with Underdog. Use the promo code WOFF. Claim your free pick. First time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. You can play right along with us tonight. Again, that's promo code WOFF. Claim your free pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Again, it is Detroit at San Francisco. Josh, lead us off. What's your prop tonight?
I'm taking Tim Patrick higher than 28.5 receiving yards. And this honestly has less to do with the, presumption that Detroit probably doesn't, trot out starters in the second half. But before last week's 0, Tim Patrick hit this mark a month straight, 4 straight games. Mm-hmm. They've been using him quite a bit. We had obviously the big Jameson Williams explosion in week 15 or 16, excuse me. So again, you factor in potentially Amon-Ra and J-Mo not playing much in the second half. That's going to open up more opportunities for Tim Patrick. I think getting 29 receiving yards should be a pretty easy bet.
Yeah, that's not one you're looking to necessarily capitalize in the first half. You're looking for the whole game on that one.
Yeah.
Which, hell, he could do it in the first half. Don't get me wrong. But that's one you're not going to sit there and try to sweat out for the first half, right? Ryan, who you got?
So full disclosure, I went into this looking for a negative San Francisco prop, but actually came out with a positive. Isaac Orendo over higher 80.5 total yards, rushing and receiving added together. He averages 80 rushing yards per game in his 4 significant playing time games this season. He also averages 3 targets per game, and the Detroit defense has been torched by running backs over the last 5 games, I think it was. They are averaging and allowing 50 receiving yards per game to the running back position. Orendo is likely to play both roles. They're saying he's fully healthy. This kid has a ton to prove, where in a game where it doesn't matter for most people, it matters a lot for Isaac Orendo. So I think we could see Orendo have a really nice game tonight. And I think this 80.5, he's been doing it on rushing alone. I think he could smash this number. So I like that one a lot.
Yeah, I'm looking to lock these all these props in right now as we speak. So give me just one quick second.
I love how you changed yours literally 5 seconds ago.
I did just because
someone told him that the Detroit offense wasn't going to play all day.
Yeah, you've talked me into it. Just so you know, right now, the Isaiah Orendo 79.5.
It went down a yard. That's because I checked this morning. I just literally put it together.
Oh, it went down, way down. If you go to the regular, it's at 64.5 right now, straight up. So
that's the rushing though. I want the combined because of what they've been allowing. Yeah.
Combined. Okay. Never mind there. And then I want to look at Josh's real quick. Tim Patrick, if he's even still on the board, he is at 28.5. Okay. So we're going to go higher. So mine is Jared Goff. I originally was going higher on this. Josh has talked me into this is not going to be a full game for Jared Goff. I am going lower on 1.5 passing touchdowns. 11 of 15 games with at least 2 passing touchdowns. 6 of the last 7 with at least 2. But again, we're talking about him probably only playing the first quarter, maybe the first half. So it does kind of make it scary to do that. But hey, I've got a fucking lead between you two. I can afford to take this gamble here. And I normally don't take lowers, but I am today. So how about that? Thoughts?
Oh.
I don't hate it.
I'm terrified. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, Jay. I'm terrified of it. I just put one together with me and Josh. I didn't include you on it because I wasn't going to go over and I wasn't going to go under. So.
I see. Okay.
Bet the 3 and do the flex, Ryan. There you go.
That's what I did. That's okay. There you go. Yep. So.
No. I don't want to be part of yours. I don't want to be part of yours.
Well, you are now, bitch.
Oh, good Lord. Let's get the hell out of here. It's been an hour and 40.
Yeah, this has been a long show. Yeah. I got shit to get done.
Josh's alarm's already going off, so he's already past his meeting time. Josh, I'm going to let you do this outro yet again, just because there's so much going on, or that's not happening over the next week or so with some of the shows that we've had on a regular with the season ending. So I'll let you take the outro. I just want to say Happy New Year to everybody. Make sure you please, if you go out driving, or if you go out drinking, please do not drive. Call somebody, call Uber, call a friend that is not drunk. Be here for the new year. Happy New Year. 100%. Happy 2025 to everybody out there.
Yeah, I'm going to focus just here on 3 shows that I know for a fact are happening. Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's actually just going to be Joe and Ryan. I unfortunately have to work on New Year's Day. But we're going to be doing the season recap, basically. We'll take any week 18 questions if we have any. But, just kind of the highs and lows of the season, kind of what we can take from this information to move into 2025. And then, of course, the month of January, we'll be doing a lot more in-depth on those exact topics leading into our Super Bowl prop bet show. And then Thursday night is the big one. It's the sneaky flex with Wendy and Rowan and Maisie. And the best thing about this show, Stefania Bell is coming on the show. Yes, you know her from ESPN. She's going to be coming on doing about 15-20 minutes with the girls, talking about the season a little bit. And the girls have some questions for Stefania, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Josh, real quick, is that the best part, or is the best part the fact that they beat their dad?
I didn't even know if they did or not.
Yeah. Oh, he has already, as far as I know, he has already conceded the L.
That is amazing. So look at that. The girls will get to brag about beating their dad with Stefania Bell.
And their new
what better
jerseys.
Championship reward is that? Let's be honest here. I absolutely love that. And of course, Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, our annual airing of the Fantasy Grievances episode. We're going to have a whole bunch of different guests. Come on, like 5-10 minutes, shooting the shit, talking about, the things that piss them off in the 2024 season. So bring all of your grievances, hit the chats. We'll, of course, answer any week 18 start sit questions as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then, of course, right back here next week, Ryan and Jay, probably myself, maybe, I don't know, whatever time we decide to do it, but our way too early mock draft for 2025.
My goal was the same time, but we'll see.
Okay. Yeah. There you go. Okay.
Anything else, guys? I'll go ahead and get us out of here.
Let's kill it.
All right. Again, for Ryan, for Josh, for myself, happy 2025 coming up. Hopefully you are in the championship, and make sure you go over there to Trophy Smack. Use the code WOFF. Or is it trophysmack.com/WOFF?
Well, it's our unique link, but if you just go to trophysmack.com and at checkout, if you use the promo code WOFF, WOFF, it'll count the same.
Excellent. All right, guys. Y'all have a great day. Appreciate everybody popping in the chat and joining us all year long. We will see y'all next time.